It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Friday, August 8th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Sunshine today, just a beauty, high 81, and the weekend looks really nice. Saturday, sunny, high 84. Sunday, sun and clouds, high 87. If you are walking out the door with us right now, 59 and clear in Valley Cottage up in Rockland County. It's 60 and clear in Emerson over in New Jersey. And it's 62 and clear right outside our Midtown studios.
The top 5 at 5.
Andrew Cuomo says he's not talking campaign strategy with President Trump. 24 years later, they're still identifying 9/11 remains. Mayor Adams facing yet another lawsuit. There's a housing scam you need to know about. And can you walk faster than a crosstown bus? All right, let's get into it at 5 o'clock. This is a little breaking news coming our way. A synagogue in Rutherford, New Jersey is burned to the ground overnight. Flames tearing through a structure. This is on Montrose Avenue. The firefighters telling us they were called to the scene. This was about 2 hours ago. They could not get close to the synagogue because apparently there's live wires that were down in front of the structure. The building, they say, appeared to collapse within about 45 minutes or so. Firefighters now battling hot spots and flying embers. The building houses Congregation Bethel and Chabad of South Bergen County and the Meadowlands. Now, the cause of the fire, they don't know, but this is the same synagogue that was firebombed back in 2012. Remember, there was that 19-year-old Lodi man who was later arrested and charged with throwing Molotov cocktails and other devices into the rabbi's second-floor bedroom and into another synagogue in Paramus the week before. So we'll follow this story. Right now, they're not telling us a whole lot about it. Thankfully, so far, no word of any injuries on the part of the firefighters or anybody who might have been involved with the synagogue. But, of course, as more details come into us on this breaking story, we'll pass them on to you. 5:02, New York City's medical examiner identifying 3 more victims of the 9/11 terror attacks at the World Trade Center more than 2 decades later. Ryan Fitzgerald was working on the 94th floor of the South Tower when he was killed. He was one of the 2,753 people who lost their lives in Lower Manhattan on September 11th, 2001. The remains of the 26-year-old from Floral Park were identified by the medical examiner's office. And yes, they continue to work to ID everybody. Neighbors in Floral Park say they hope this brings some solace to his friends and family.
It never goes away. There isn't a day that goes by that they're not thinking of that lost loved one. Does this give them some closure? I don't know.
Barbara Keating of Palm Springs, California, and another adult woman whose name was being withheld at the request of her family. Now, Keating was a passenger on one of the planes that hit the towers. So the 3 are the latest of 1,653 people who have been identified now through family outreach and advanced DNA analysis. But that leaves 1,100 victims, 40% of those killed that have yet to be identified. New York City's chief medical examiner, Dr. Jason Graham, says they won't give up on identifying them.
Our identification efforts continue. We made that commitment to the family. We continue that commitment today.
Now, of course, the issue with identification going forward is just the passage of time, the degradation of the DNA material, but new DNA technology is helping to overcome some of those challenges, and the medical examiner says he wants to bring answers to every family who lost a loved one in the attacks.
We are in this for the families, and being able to provide those answers and provide closure even after so long, is very meaningful.
Yeah, so Ryan Fitzgerald was identified through DNA testing of remains that were recovered back in 2002, the medical examiner said. The other two women were identified through testing of remains that were recovered in 2001. And then back in Floral Park, again, they were talking about Ryan Fitzgerald.
I think it keeps these memories of these people alive. It allows them to still feel relevant and hear and remembered.
Yeah, let's say good work done by the medical examiner's office now 24 years after the attacks. 504 out to Queens, where 14-year-old's in custody after he allegedly stabbed another teen multiple times. This was in Elmhurst yesterday afternoon. They found a 14-year-old boy, multiple stab wounds to his face, arm, and hands. This was outside a restaurant. Eyewitnesses say the two students had left a nearby charter school, and witnesses say one was chasing the other when the stabbing took place.
I saw two kids running across the street, one chasing him, and the next thing I see them on the corner, one keeps stabbing him, and he ran.
Surveillance video shows the victim running inside the restaurant, asking for help, and here's the restaurant owner.
I mean, he was scared, shaking, so I put him down, give him water, tried to hold his patches, the stab wound, not to bleed till the ambulance came. The
victim transported by EMS to Elmhurst Hospital, where he's recovering from what they're saying is non-life-threatening injuries. A 14-year-old boy, that 14-year-old boy who allegedly stabbed him, he's been taken into custody. 506, an update on a story we had told you about earlier this week. Justine Randall. Police were looking for her if she didn't show up to a court hearing. She's the woman who's accused of taking trains in Brooklyn and Queens and driving them around, joyrides of sorts. She's also accused of allegedly attacking an MTA worker who got in her way. So yesterday, they finally tracked her down. Yesterday, they hauled her into court, and she had shown up to court 6 times before, and they never set bail for her. They let her walk, and almost every time she went back out to commit a similar crime not too long later. So the MTA had their lawyers there yesterday, and they said, you need to set bail on this woman so she doesn't get out. And they did yesterday, $50,000 bail. Here's the MTA attorney.
This is the 7th opportunity, meaning 6 instances where she has been released without anyone doing anything, any prior judges holding her, even at the risk of our customers and the risk of my employees.
Yes, so there were a bunch of joyrides, 2 trains on storage tracks in Brooklyn, one in May near 86th Street. She posted them, by the way, on social media, so that was definitely part of it. One where she operated a train at nearly 40 miles an hour. So again, the lawyers for the MTA say, finally, she is off the streets behind bars.
She has taken direct steps right after being released from prison to go right back to do the same thing. This is not a case of someone who made a mistake. This is a conscious decision by an individual to continue to do things that are unsafe and at peril of our employees and customers.
So this time, bail set $50,000. Her next court appearance will be in Brooklyn on September 22nd. WABC News Time 509. You never think it'll happen to you, but 2 people stole the deed to a home from a woman in Queens.
New York Attorney General Letitia James says 2 people are facing charges for stealing a home from a woman who's receiving end-of-life care in Queens.
And this is a prime example of deed theft. Earlier this week, my office arrested Victor Quimis and charged him with multiple felonies for his role in the scheme. And Deepa Roy remains at large.
The 2 allegedly forged Renuka Berwani's signature and a notary signature transferring ownership of her Kew Gardens home to them for free while she was in hospice care. Lisa Ritchie, 77 WABC News.
WABC News Time 510. A woman crossing the tracks on foot in Hackensack yesterday, hit and killed by a New Jersey transit train. The incident involved a train that was along the Pascack Valley line. The pedestrian strike took place close to the Essex Street station. This is a place, if you know the area along Railroad Avenue, where people regularly cross the tracks. So we don't know exactly what took place here. There's no fencing or anything to stop any, but this poor guy, he witnessed the hit.
Took that right there. Train zipped through about 50 feet away and witnessed the horrible thing. I saw the body fly, and then I ran over there. I was the first one there. I stopped my car and ran out, and I was going to try to give her CPR, but you can tell she was dead.
Yeah. So the victim's name has not been released. Train service, though, is back to normal today. Prosecutors in D.C. may seek the death penalty for the man accused of killing 2 Israeli embassy staffers in Washington, D.C. earlier this year. U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro holding a press conference yesterday. She says a rigorous review is being conducted right now.
The capital case section in the Attorney General's office will advise the Attorney General, and the Attorney General herself will make a decision regarding whether or not this office will seek death against Elias Rodriguez.
Elias Rodriguez has been indicted on murder hate crime charges for allegedly shooting and killing Yaron Lashinsky and Sarah Milgram outside the Capitol Jewish Museum in May. He's also accused of attacking 2 other people who are only being identified by their initials.
These are people who should have been in-laws, but because of one man's action, they will never be able to celebrate a marriage that was intended or the grandchildren that would have resulted. It involves serious physical abuse to Sarah Milgram, who was particularly vulnerable due to infirmity.
So Pirro alleges that Rodriguez was watching the Capitol Jewish Museum on that night of the attack and moved in when he saw 4 people leaving what was a reception there.
He opened fire, killing first Yaron Lashinsky, then killing Sarah Milgram, and when firing these fatal shots, he yelled, "Free Palestine."
We go from Washington, D.C. to Israel. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says his country intends to take full control of the Gaza Strip, but not retain it. He sat down with Fox News yesterday, 2 months ahead of the 2-year anniversary of the October 7th attacks.
We don't want to govern it. We don't want to be there as a governing body. We want to hand it over to Arab forces that will govern it properly, without threatening us and giving Gazans a good life.
Netanyahu says the only way for a different future for Gaza is with the removal of Hamas, which he called a neo-Nazi army. He also claimed Hamas is behind the starvation in Gaza and says Israel's trying to change all of that.
The only way that you're going to have a different future is to get rid of this neo-Nazi army. The Hamas are monsters. Look at what they're doing to our people. Look at what they're doing to the way they massacred, raped, beheaded our people, our men and women. And they are really cruel to their own people, because when we try to take them away from the combat zones, they shoot them. They want people to be civilian casualties. They want a starvation policy that they themselves are trying to put into being. And we're doing everything to reverse that.
And as the Israeli army moves in to take over Gaza, reporter Blake Sifton reports that not all the military officials are on board with the plan.
The chief of staff of the Israeli military, Eyal Zamir, is said to oppose the plan, and military officials reportedly fear that it could risk the lives of Israeli hostages and could lead to heavy casualties among Israeli soldiers.
Meanwhile, the U.S. saying today that they continue to move humanitarian aid into the Gaza Strip. 5:14 from Israel back down to Washington. The FBI firing its former acting director.
According to multiple reports, Brian Driscoll, who led the Bureau at the start of the Trump administration, was asked to leave by Friday. Driscoll has been viewed as a champion of the Bureau's rank-and-file staff after declining to turn over a list of agents who worked on January 6th cases. He penned a final note to staff explaining that he was not given a reason for his removal. I'm Brian Shook.
In a moment, we'll go down to Texas, where Democrats have left the state and have not returned in that redistricting battle. We'll get into that in a moment. But first, 5:15, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. And here's Justin Eller.
Thank you, Noam Layden. Had some football last night. How about it? You watch
All right.
Did you watch any of those games?
I did not.
No, me neither. Couldn't even find the Eagles on TV.
And it was the Eagles, and you weren't even watching. That's impressive.
Well, I don't worry about what I was doing, all right?
What were you doing?
I was just doing my own thing.
Oh, were you on a date?
No.
Oh. I know you have a new Tinder picture, so I thought
okay,
maybe you'd scored.
Okay, this took a turn that I wasn't really anticipating. So I'm going to move on.
Blaming you?
Yeah.
Lisa G was telling me that you have this great Tinder picture now, and that I thought maybe it was working. So
it's doing okay. It's doing great, actually. All right,
Oh,
Lisa,
it is?
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Yeah, how about that?
Humans are now responding.
Right. We've dwindled it down to women on planet Earth. How about that?
There you go. All right.
The Ravens last night, your Final Four, Baltimore beat the Colts 24-16. The Eagles beat up on the Bengals 34-27 live from Philly. And in Seattle, the Seahawks and the Raiders, they tied at 23. Tomorrow, the Giants and the Jets will get their preseason schedules underway. Out in Buffalo, the Giants will get going with the Bills at 1 p.m. And as for the Jets, they get the nightcap 8 p.m. kickoff against the Packers out in Green Bay. And no baseball last night either, but we're looking ahead to a weekend full of action here. Game 1 of 3 between the Yankees and Astros. 7:05 p.m. first pitch from the Bronx tonight. Cam Schlittler will get the start in Game 1. Heading into the weekend, the Yankees sit 2.5 games back of the Red Sox for second place in the AL East, and a game and a half up on Cleveland and Texas for the third and final AL wildcard spot. And as for the Mets, they will be in Milwaukee all weekend. Game 1 of 3 against the Brewers tonight. 8:10 p.m. first pitch. Kodai Senga will get the start in Game 1 there. Heading into the weekend, the Mets sit 2.5 games back for the Phillies for first place in the NL East, and 3.5 games up on the Cincinnati Reds for the third and final NL wildcard spot. That is your Sports Know, man. I'm Justin Ullick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:18. The Trump administration asking the Supreme Court to let it resume its immigration raids across Southern California.
Last month, a U.S. district judge blocked the immigration raids targeting Home Depot parking lots and other areas where immigrants may congregate, ruling that broad factors like their language and line of work fell short of a constitutional basis for reasonable suspicion. On Thursday, the Justice Department filed an emergency appeal defending the use of those factors and claimed that ICE agents are entitled to rely on those factors when ramping up enforcement of immigration laws in Southern California. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
Out to Texas, the FBI has agreed to help track down a group of Texas Democrats who fled the state in protest of redistricting.
We cannot allow these rogue legislators to avoid their constitutional responsibilities and make a mockery out of Texas.
Senator John Cornyn there, who made the request. FBI agents will be assisting state troopers who were ordered by the governor to arrest those involved in this quorum break. Civil warrants have been issued, but local law enforcement can't make arrests outside the state.
We resolve our differences by debating and voting, not by running away and hiding from our constituents.
This is, of course, all over the battle of redistricting, which in Texas, Republicans want to redistrict 5 districts that could then become Republican seats. So Democrats have left the state, have not come back. Now they're issuing these arrests. And nobody's been arrested yet, by the way. But here's more from Senator John Cornyn.
Redistricting?
Oh, that's not him. This is him, though.
In addition to avoiding their duty while on a public relations tour, these cowardly legislators are blocking vital flood relief.
The leader of a redistricting effort in the Texas Senate says he's hopeful that a vote could come soon on these redrawn maps. Here's Senator Phil King.
Has been addressed during special sessions of the Texas legislature as far back as at least 1871.
Now, he says the primary goal is to elect more Republicans to Congress, but the maps, he says, are also being drawn to address complaints about gerrymandering. One district, which currently stretches from San Antonio to Austin, would be made more compact.
We can, frankly, lawfully and by precedent redistrict at any time the legislature so desires. All states have very broad authority. This is recognized by the courts under the U.S. Constitution and its election clause to choose when to do redistricting.
Now, this is all, of course, looking ahead to the midterm elections. The House, the Senate, very close, right? Almost evenly split between Democrats and Republicans. Everybody's looking for an edge. So there's the edge in Texas. California pushing back against that. There are election officials there preparing for a potential special election on November 4th. Governor Newsom says it hinges on Texas changing its congressional maps to benefit Republicans. He says he'll do the same thing the other way around if that happens.
The idea that the President of the United States says he's entitled to 5 seats should sicken everybody.
There's nothing normal about that, and anyone who says it's not surprising is normalizing it. That's shocking.
If Texas redistricts, California will vote on new maps favoring Democrats. They'll force lawmakers to return to Sacramento mid-August. This would give them just a few days to draw these new congressional maps there and then prepare a ballot measure to gather public feedback.
They're in Indiana. They're going to all these other states. We can sit there and we can be, stewards of, intellectual good government and just watch it all go away. If he's entitled to these votes, what's he going to be entitled to in 2 years?
So California would have to work hard to make this happen. They have until August 22nd to declare a special election. 522, President Trump says Russian President Vladimir Putin would like to meet with him. He says both Putin and Ukrainian President Zelensky both want to meet with him as a deadline for Russia to start those ceasefire talks is here. It's supposed to be today.
We're going to see what he has to say. It's going to be up to him. Very disappointed.
The president telling reporters it's necessary for Putin to meet with Zelensky prior to a meeting with himself. He was asked if he'll impose strict tariffs on Russia today if Putin does not come to the table. And the president says it really all depends on Putin.
They would like to meet with me, and I'll do whatever I can to stop the killing.
And he says it's all just about ending the war between the two nations.
Last month, they lost 14,000 people killed. Last month. Every week is 4,000 or 5,000 people.
While we're talking about the president, he's ordering colleges across the U.S. to share admissions data that includes information on student diversity.
Trump signed a presidential memorandum on Thursday requiring colleges and universities to submit the expanded data to the U.S. Department of Education. The memo claims the lack of available admissions data from universities, paired with the rampant use of diversity statements, raises concerns about whether race is considered in admissions. After the memo's release, Education Secretary Linda McMahon said they will now begin collecting admissions data disaggregated by race and sex. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
524, 2 people dead after a helicopter crashed onto a barge on the Mississippi River near Illinois yesterday.
The helicopter had crashed into some power lines crossing over the river and then fell down onto a barge that was underneath.
Crash happened near Alton, which is about 25 miles north of St. Louis. The helicopter carrying workers that were putting aviation warning markers on power lines. Video from the scene shows the charred remains of the helicopter.
All you seen was a fiery ball, and it came across and landed on this Missouri side barge that was staged up here waiting to go through the lock. All of a sudden it touched the line, and in 2 seconds it wasn't a helicopter anymore. It was 1,000 pieces.
Yeah, that bridge, the Lewis and Clark Bridge, connects Missouri and Illinois. It's been shut down due to the crash, though you have word it's going to be or may have been reopened this morning. 524 down to Florida. A federal judge has ordered a temporary halt to new construction at Alligator Alcatraz. Attorneys for environmental groups argue that it could damage the Everglades ecosystem.
We are relieved that Judge Williams has given us 14 days of reprieve for the wildlife, for the water quality, and for the starry skies out in Big Cypress National Preserve. And we are looking forward to going back into our hearing next week and continuing to fight for the Everglades.
Now, the facility can continue to operate hold detainees during the 2-week period. The environmental group says they'll be asking for an injunction to halt operations and further construction.
We'll also hear case from the Miccosukee Tribe of Indians, who have joined as plaintiffs in this case as well. And following all of those presentations and arguments, the judge will make a decision on whether to halt activities for the duration of the entire case.
From Florida up to Virginia, where a Confederate memorial that was removed back in 2023 is returning to the Arlington National Cemetery.
It's part of an effort by the Trump administration to bring back statues that honor the Confederacy. The Reconciliation Monument features a bronze statue of a woman standing on a pedestal with several interpretations linked to the South, including depictions of slavery underneath her. The monument was initially debuted in 1914 by Confederate veteran Moses Ezekiel. It'll cost nearly $10 million to restore and be put back on display. I'm Chris Coraggio.
How about some health news? The Cleveland Clinic reminding Americans that West Nile virus cases typically rise this time of year. Infectious disease specialist Donald Dumford recommends trying to avoid outside activity at sunrise and sunset when mosquitoes are most active.
But all throughout the day, if you're going to be outside, apply an EPA-approved mosquito repellent. This is great not just for mosquito-borne illnesses, but also for Lyme disease and other tick-borne illnesses.
Yeah, we're seeing an uptick in virus cases right here in the tri-state. West Nile, transmitted through mosquitoes, is most active through September. Ultra-processed foods are taking over America's diet. So actually, they have been for years.
According to a first-of-its-kind CDC report, about 62% of kids and teens' daily calories come from ultra-processed foods, compared with 53% for adults. Researchers found the top source of ultra-processed foods was sandwiches, such as burgers, hot dogs, and peanut butter and jelly, followed by baked goods, salty snacks, and sugary drinks. I'm Brian Shook.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Friday, August 8th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Sunshine today, a beauty of a day on the way. High 81. And then the weekend looks great as well. Saturday, sunny, high 84. Sunday, sun and clouds, high 87. If you're walking out the door with us right now, you'll notice it's cool out there. 59 and clear in Valley Cottage up in Rockland County. It's 60 and clear in Emerson over in New Jersey. And it's 62 and clear right outside our Midtown studios. WABC News Time 5:38 up to the Hudson Valley, where a family fighting to get a husband and father back after ICE agents swooped into their neighborhood in Westchester County and detained him as he left his house for work. ICE agents cuffed 43-year-old Milton Guamariga last week as he left his house in Port Chester, headed to work. Guamariga works as a marble stone installer. He's a volunteer firefighter in Port Chester, a father of 3. He's undocumented, illegal, so he can't be paid by firefighters. I guess that's why he's a volunteer. But his family says this is the wrong guy for ICE agents to pull off the streets.
My younger sister, who's 8, she asked for my father every single night, and we lied to her and told her that he's on vacation or like a work trip, and for that reason he's not able to come home.
Guamariga admits that her father crossed the border illegally when he was 15 years old, but she says in the almost 30 years he's lived here, he's never gotten into trouble before.
Honestly, it's hard not to break down because I know my mom's already struggling a lot, and she has my 2 younger siblings that are both still in school. And we're just trying to honestly figure out how we can make everything work until my dad comes out and hopefully comes home.
He's currently being held at the Calhoun County Correctional Center in Michigan. A scammer has been accused of offering food vendors access to a city permit and then vanishing with their money, amounting to apparently hundreds of thousands of dollars stolen. The predatory scheme takes advantage of what is sort of a gray market when it comes to getting these licenses. So here's how the racket is said to work. New vendors, often desperate for a way to sell their food legally, are approached by a man who's offering to lease them one of these scarce and highly sought-after city permits that would help them authenticate their small business. Then after they fork over the cash, he totally vanishes. Here's one guy who fell for it.
This guy took the money and he disappeared. We want the people to know about this guy, not to do any business with him.
Now, the Street Vendor Project, an organization that promotes fair working conditions for the street vendors, there are only 7,000 two-year food vending permits available in the city, and there's nothing stopping those who manage to acquire one of these permits from profiting heavily by leasing it out to others for thousands more. Here, I'll let them explain.
Running price right now is about $25,000 on the underground market. Cash transaction, there's no paperwork that goes with it because it's sort of a legal gray area. And this is going on under the city's nose and has been for decades.
Yes, so now the vendors who fell for this scam, they're afraid to go to the authorities because essentially they were doing something potentially illegal. So now they're all this money.
I text him, I called him so many times. He said, I'm coming. He never showed up.
I paid $9,000. I lost the business. I lost the money. I lost the location.
Yeah, so he was trying to circumvent those rules, and, he got caught up in it, and now he's out all kinds of money. But the Street Vendor Project say the scammer might have scammed people out of a couple $100,000 across the city. Talking about scams, New York Attorney General Letitia James has 2 people facing charges for stealing a home from a woman who was in hospice. James says Victor Quimis and Deepa Roy allegedly forged this woman's signature and notary signature, transferring ownership of her Kew Gardens home to them for free.
And this is a prime example of deed theft. Earlier this week, my office arrested Victor Quimis and charged him with multiple felonies for his role in the scheme. And Deepa Roy remains at large.
Now, this woman, who's a widow, owned the home since 1986, was in hospice at the time. Once these creeps got her to sign over everything, they took like a $500,000 mortgage, paid off the house, took another $300,000 for themselves, and initially, anyway, got away with it.
Completely bedridden, with around-the-clock aids. She could not even turn in bed, or feed herself, or hold a pen. Yet, while she lay helpless, 2 individuals, Deepa Roy and Victor Quimis, conspired to steal her home.
Yeah, unfortunately, this happens way more often than you may think. 543, one more scam. Governor Hochul warning New Yorkers about back-to-school shopping scams.
Hochul's office says school shopping will start early this year due to increased costs from inflation and tariffs. And the governor says that opens the door for scammers to take advantage. Hochul's office released tips, which include watching out for fake coupons on social media, fake websites with low prices, and calls offering test prep material. Lisa G., 77 WABC News.
The animal rights activists back in the streets yesterday calling on New York City to end horse-drawn carriage rides. It comes after that 15-year-old horse named Lady collapsed and died on 51st and 11th Avenue on Tuesday afternoon.
Totally against it. It's old school already.
I don't think it's fair for the horses.
It breaks my heart every time I see them. I don't like it at all.
I see it every day, and I just don't see there being any abuse in there.
It's history, it's tradition, and it's also romance. How much romance do we have left in this town?
Those are regular New Yorkers talking about the horse-drawn carriage industry. Advocates calling on the city council to pass a bill that would phase out the licensing of horse-drawn carriages. Others say, they like it. They think this is nice.
I think we're technologically advanced enough to where we don't need to have animals drag us around, and I don't think it's like as glamorous as it used to be.
Now we have cars and we have buses and we have trains. That's why times have changed.
Mayor de Blasio, you remember, ran on this when he ran for mayor the first time, saying he'd get rid of the horse-drawn carriages. Was not successful. Curtis Sliwa, that is part of his platform in his bid for mayor, is that he would get rid of the horse-drawn carriages if he's elected. 545, let's head over to the 77 WABC sports desk, and here's Justin Ellick.
Thank you, Noam. Later, we'll get to a few preseason football games here from last night, kicking off our preseason action. Well, after the Hall of Fame game last week, your final from Baltimore: Ravens beat the Colts 24-16. The Eagles beat the Bengals out in Philly 34-27, and the Seahawks and Raiders, they tied at 23 out in Seattle. Tomorrow, our local squads will get their preseason schedules underway, and the Jets and the Giants. The Giants, they get the afternoon kickoff there, the early afternoon, 1 p.m. out in Buffalo against the Bills. As for the Jets, they get the nightcap, 8 p.m. kickoff out in Green Bay against the Packers. No baseball last night either, but we're looking ahead to a full weekend for both the Mets and the Yankees out in the Bronx. Yanks will get a weekend going with the Astros tonight, game 1 of 3, 7:05
You're missing
p.m.
the biggest football story of all.
What's that?
The Indianapolis Colts played a preseason football game last night.
Anthony Richardson got hurt.
That's right. Their starting quarterback, Anthony Richardson, got hurt, and until he's back and healthy, you guys know who now is the starting quarterback in Indianapolis.
Daniel Jones?
That would be former Giant Daniel Jones.
But look at that. An alleyway opening up out in Indy for the great Daniel Jones.
And now that he's not a Giant any longer, he'll take them to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He'll channel his inner Andrew Luck there, if you will. Or more so his inner Peyton Manning. How about that? But the Yankees weekend with the Astros here out in the Bronx. Cam Schlittler will start game 1 tonight. Heading into the weekend, Yanks at 2.5 games back of the Red Sox for second place in the AL East and a game and a half up on Cleveland and Texas for the third and final AL wildcard spot. 8:10 p.m. tonight out in Milwaukee. The Mets will get their weekend going with the Brewers. Game 1 of 3. Kodai Senga gets a start heading into the weekend. The Mets at 2.5 games back of Philly for first place in the NL East and 3.5 games up on the Cincinnati Reds for the third and final NL wildcard spot there. That is your Sports Noam, and I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
Let's go out at 5:48 to the campaign for mayor. Former Governor Andrew Cuomo saying that he did not have a phone conversation with President Trump. That's, of course, been the big story over the last 48 hours. He put together this last-minute, hastily called news conference yesterday where he made the denial.
The last contact was when I called to leave best wishes for thee. I would not seek his endorsement. I wouldn't accept his endorsement.
Right, so he doesn't want President Trump's endorsement. During this press conference, he talked about Mayor Adams.
New Yorkers do not want...
Oh, this is Mayor Adams.
You have Mayor Adams, who's running, who is a wholly owned subsidiary of President Trump.
So he went on the attack. He didn't say much about Zohran Mamdani, but Zohran Mamdani has been enjoying all of this, the conversation or alleged conversation between the president and Andrew Cuomo. Here's what he had to say about it on the campaign trail yesterday.
We know that Andrew Cuomo will sell working people out for his interests, for the interests of the billionaires that supported him, for the interests of Donald Trump, because all of those interests are lining up as one and the same. I am surrounded by New Yorkers for whom this cost is lived every single day, for whom this question and this decision to get on the phone with Donald Trump has a significant and tangible impact on their lives and the lives of those that they serve.
Mayor Adams not talking much about those phone conversations, but yesterday he held a press conference where he was offering to help New Yorkers with student loan debt.
We're not going to sit back and allow New Yorkers to drown in debt. We're going to have that life raft to allow them to move to a productive life that they deserve.
A pilot student loan reduction and college savings program that helps borrowers navigate repayment options has been offered to city employees, but now it's expanded citywide.
We are helping slash monthly student loan payments for New Yorkers, with working people reducing their payments an average of $3,000 per year on student loans under this program.
Now, on the same day that he offered that student loan program, the New York Post put out an editorial saying that it's time for President Trump to endorse Mayor Adams' campaign. And their thought was that crime is down and they think he has a good shot and deserves a second term over Zohran Mamdani. It's all about a bid to end Zohran Mamdani's campaign. Also, talking Mayor Adams yesterday, the NYPD, Mayor Adams facing yet another lawsuit from an ex-employee. This time it's from a former NYPD attorney who says she was fired in retaliation after investigating a high-ranking member of the department. Former NYPD attorney Amy Litwin says she was fired after she investigated former Chief of Department Jeff Madry. Litwin's suit says she concluded some sort of internal report that Madry abused his authority and should be disciplined. And after she did that, she says she was given the boot by Eddie Caban, fired her in 2023, she says, in retaliation. Here's her lawyer.
Your career's just swiped out from under you just for simply doing your job. It's a huge hit. It takes its toll emotionally, financially, and it's very hard to recover from that.
Yes, Mayor Adams saying, let's be clear, I should say this is from his campaign, that he never directed the former police commissioner to terminate this individual and does not know who she is. WABC News Time, 5:52. Can you walk faster than a New York City bus along 34th Street in Manhattan? The answer is, yeah, you can. That's how slow the buses are, sometimes cross town. Transportation Alternatives, the organization that follows this kind of thing, wanted to prove yesterday that the buses are so slow. So they raced the M34 bus from 1st Avenue to 8th Avenue. Now, when I say raced, they didn't run. They walked. They got a group of like 25 people just to walk cross town. They said, don't walk fast, just walk. And they did. and they reached the finish line in 15 minutes. It took the bus 22 minutes to travel the same distance.
We're sitting in traffic. We're stuck behind police cars blocking the way. It shouldn't be taking that long.
They walked off, and then we didn't see them again until we came here.
Yeah, advocates say a car-free busway would help speed up buses like it does on 14th Street. A busway along 34th Street thoroughfare has been in the works for many years, but for whatever reason, they haven't been able to get it done.
I think it keeps these memories of these people alive. It allows them to still feel.
Okay, so some opponents worry that a 34th Street busway would result in congestion on surrounding streets, saying 8th Avenue is already often backed up. This would make it worse. Now, they've been doing and challenging these crosstown buses to speed up for years. I can remember, it's got to be 15 years ago when I was a street reporter, I covered this exact same story, and they gave us big wheels. You remember the big wheels you had as kids? They gave us big wheels and told us to see if we could beat the bus cross town on big wheels, and we did. I mean, with no problem at all. Heinz and Smoothie King are collaborating now to release a first-of-its-kind smoothie.
The two brands will offer customers a Heinz tomato ketchup smoothie made with a blend of sweet acai sorbet, crisp apple juice, juicy strawberries, and tart raspberries, as well as Heinz Simply Ketchup. The smoothie, which went on sale starting Wednesday, will be available for a limited time. It will cost $5.70 at select Smoothie King locations in New York, Chicago, Atlanta, Denver, and Miami. Customers are encouraged to share their opinions on social media with the hashtag #KetchupSmoothie. Lisa G., 77 WABC News.
No, sounds kind of nasty to me. A man up in the Bronx found a box of precious memories with a treasure trove of old photographs, but they're not his. They're wedding photos that look like they're from generations ago. This guy's name is David Handush. He found the box down by the garbage in his mother's Bronx apartment building over the weekend. And when he took a closer look, he realized immediately that it was not trash. It was someone's treasures. And he's not sure why it was put in the trash, but he says, I'm sure it's not the people who are in the pictures who put it there. So now he wants to find the people who own these pictures because he says they're fantastic photos.
Was it a first date? Was it an anniversary? It's an important day. Was it a wedding, a christening, a bar mitzvah? Images are so important. We're capturing history with our family photos.
So Handush is now on this quest to find the family that's in these images. He says some of the photos look like they come from the old country. Other ones are more recent, from a graduation from the University of Michigan back in 2011. So he's sent us copies of these photos. We'll put them up at WABCRadio.com. Maybe you'll recognize someone who is in one of these pictures.
You cannot throw out memories like this. It looks like you had some great times, and it looks like you had some wonderful history, and come and pick up your photos.
Yeah, I don't know if it was next to the trash can. I think the person was probably trying to throw them out, but okay. 5:57 are coming up on 5:57. Traffic, transit on the 7s. Here's Joe Nolan.
Purging. Someone's just getting rid of stuff, maybe, I hope not. But
maybe it's somebody who broke up with or divorced somebody, and they're like, I don't want these photos of this family in my house
near me anymore.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
And they meant to throw them out.
Trust me. All right, well, here we go.
That, eh?
Thanks for listening to the News Hour with Noam Laden. You can hear the News Hour with Noam Laden weekday mornings at 5 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode, so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Greg Kelly here for Colonial Metals Group. China's leading the largest anti-American alliance since World War II, one that's already dumped U.S. bonds, grabbed 43 million acres of our farmland, and is plotting to dethrone the dollar. That's why IRA and 401k savers are protecting their savings with gold. Go to freegoldguide.com/Kelly or call 800-655-5186 for your free gold guide on how to protect your wealth with gold 100% tax-free.
If you work as a manufacturing facilities engineer, installing a new piece of equipment can be as complex as the machinery itself. From prep work to alignment and testing, it's your team's job to put it all together. That's why it's good to have Grainger on your side. With industrial-grade products and next-day delivery, Grainger helps ensure you have everything you need close at hand through every step of the installation. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.